Hello, I'm Makayla Brewster of AHS-TV, and in this segment of Best of the Nest, we'll take a look at AHS-TV Independent Study and how they are viewed from the student's perspective. We will be talking with Larissa Frain and Mr. Swanson to get a hawk's eye view, but first, our very own Rayia Hawk takes a closer look.
Thanks, Makayla. I'm Rayia Hawk of AHS-TV, and I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with the AHS-TV Independent Study students. Let's take a closer look. Bella, what was the most interesting thing that you've done in Independent Study this year?
I really enjoyed writing our scripts because I think it was like a whole different realm of being creative, because usually we're just so focused on the filming and kind of just certain aspects of it, but we got to start from scratch, the very first step of thinking an idea through, and then you execute it with the filming after. So I just thought that was really fun.
Out of everything I've done, probably the drug PSA. I did that with Kate Stiller and a couple other kids, and that was fun.
Towards the end of December is me, Bella, and Luke. We all worked on the project for the Elks contest, and ours got chosen out of the independent studies, that we made it, we produced it, and that was a lot of fun, and definitely something different that doesn't give off the normal TV in the school. It's more more competitive and gives us something to get our names out more than we already have.
I think that there have been a few videos that I've helped make that have been very interesting, but I think that the most interesting thing for me personally to do is always just film the musical. We've done it before, but it's always just so fun to just go out and kind of camp out, for the weekend, just get all that done,
What about you, Kaden?
I don't know. I think most interesting would probably have to be the musical as well, just because it's so much different than anything else you do. Independent study, you just mess around, you do whatever. But the musical, it feels almost you're required to do it and do it well. Without if you make a mistake, you can't really fix it. So it feels almost an actual job, but in a good way, not the bad way of a job. So yeah, probably the musical as well.
Honestly, I'd say being creative, having the ability to bring my imagination to life when I, create these videos. There's a lot that you can do, in independent studies. You have a lot of hands-on experience that you can, take with you later on. And I think just, being able to kind of take the reins on that yourself as well really gives you, a chance to show what you're made of,
Good answer.
I don't really like being on camera, so I like the different parts that you can do, the different roles you can fill. So I always am behind the cameras. I get to work the cameras and the angles and everything, and tell people on camera different things that they can do instead of actually being there. And it's a nice little substitute.
What is the most interesting project that you've done in independent study?
I think my Wise Man video was the music video for that Frank Ocean song. I think that was probably the one that I enjoyed the most creating, because it's I focused on a little bit of my childhood. I brought in some childhood videos that I had, and it kind of shows the fears of growing older and moving on in your life. And I think it's really effective, because I let Mr. Swanson watch, and he's you should show that to your parents because it's really effective. And I think the goal that I had was really good.
What have you enjoyed most about being an independent study?
I'd say my favorite part of it, what I had the most fun doing, was the individual projects, because it's full creative freedom to the students, and you can work with your friends and stuff. I just like making stuff, and that's probably my favorite part.
I agree.
I'd say my favorite part is definitely the independent study community. I just like hanging out with all my best friends and making fun projects that I can look back on.
And lastly, what advice would you give somebody that's coming into independent study next year?
I would 100% say stay on top of your work. If you need to get something done, a lot of these, all these kids will be seniors, so I understand other things will be going on, but you have to take this class and take it as another responsibility, because there's only a certain number of people who do it, and so you're in charge of it. So don't procrastinate, and just make sure all the work you do to your best ability.
I agree. Me and Bella, some of our group projects, it's just the two of us, and they got put off a bit, and then it was definitely a rush. But although I will say some of our rushed work is actually our best.
Our best, yeah.
But
don't say that. Don't procrastinate, guys.
Don't procrastinate.
Don't procrastinate.
But other than that too, if you're thinking about doing it and you're interested in it, then do it, because it's only going to benefit you in the long run.
I would just say, like, don't overthink it too much. You know, like, all the tools are here to help you succeed, and you just have to be the person to really just, like, grab them and take hold of them and do what you do.
Yeah, I just like keep yourself busy, but don't keep yourself like too busy, obviously, and have fun. Like it's not a chore, it's not a job. You're in here to have fun and live it up while you can.
Have fun. Like make what you want and have fun.
Don't put yourself in a box either.
Yeah.
Like, you have literally full creative freedom here. Do whatever you want.
But try.
Yeah, try.
Like even if it's all gonna be fun and stuff, but like try.
Yeah. Yeah, don't wait until the last minute. I have done that a lot.
Me
and
too.
It's really put a damper on my life.
Carpe diem, seize the day.
Yeah, it's a good piece of advice. Do not procrastinate.
A lot of people go into it thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have so much to do all the time. It's gonna be nonstop.
It's not like that, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of chance where you'll have downtime. There's a lot of chance where you will be working on it, and there's a lot of side projects that get brought in eventually throughout the year that might not have been like offered at the beginning, but like throughout, you kind of get that too. So you get a chance to do a lot, and you get a chance to be creative. So I think that's really important.
I think you also need to go into it with kind of an open mind, because we started a couple new things this year that we didn't have before. So if you have an idea, bring it up.
And you can get a brick on the wall. So.
Exactly. Yeah. Who doesn't love that? What advice would you give?
Just like don't worry about it too much. You're gonna find something to do, even if it's not originally what you thought you would be doing. So you'll find a place.
Yeah, it's not everyone's forte, as some people would say, but like you said, there's something for everyone here.
Well, there you have it, folks. Straight from the Hawk speak. We'll take it back to Makayla in the studio following this short commercial break.
Just as no two oak leaves are the same, your journey at IUP is uniquely yours. Yours to explore your interests, pursue your passions, discover your calling. You will face challenges. Success comes with challenges, but you'll never have to go it alone. Whatever you need, from academics to wellness support, we'll be here for you throughout your journey. Get in the Grove at IUP.
For those of you just joining us, I'm Makayla Brewster with AHS-TV, and I am now joined by Larissa Frain and Mr. Swanson to talk about TV production independent study. So, what exactly is independent study?
Well, independent study is something that students can take in a variety of classes. It's basically when you have an interest in something beyond what's offered in a traditional course or an offered course, you get an opportunity to work with the teacher and kind of pursue interests or higher level stuff that isn't necessarily offered. So for us, independent study is basically you are, in essence, an intern for the TV department down here. My little chickadees, I think is what Ms. Plant refers to as. But yeah, you basically do everything that needs to be done, right? Like you guys have rotating assignments every quarter and special projects that come up, and you basically help keep everything running.
Okay, so this is a two-part question, but what do you do in this class, Larissa?
I would say that I am like one of Mr. Swanson's minions, I guess you could say. We kind of just like do whatever needs done, and we also do projects like Squawk Talks, Best of the Nest, Hawks Cast. We do a lot of like projects to get our school out there, I guess.
All right, and then as our teacher, other than just grading our projects, what exactly do you do?
As independent study?
Yeah.
Independent study, from my point of view, is I think I try to set a structure for you guys to work in, basically. Independent study is what it sounds like. It's independent. So the lion's share is put on you guys, and it's my job as the teacher to kind of make sure that you have the ability to work on things that interest you and the tools you need to be able to work through things. What might make us a little more unique than other independent studies in the school is that the structure is kind of there by necessity. Given how everything works down here with producing a show that actually goes on TV, as well as other things like the podcast and everything on Spotify, the structure's in place. So, you know, it's kind of like my job to manage that structure for you guys to work in and then hopefully enable you guys to thrive in it.
All right, and out of our long list, never-ending list of things to do, what is your favorite thing to do in independent study?
I really enjoy all of the projects we have and everything like that, but honestly, my favorite part is hanging out with everybody. I always, like, my favorite part of the day is, like, hanging out with all of my friends and sometimes even Mr. Swanson. So it's just like fun.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to like have that connection. And also I feel like we get a lot of experiences that we would not have gotten if we didn't take independent study.
I agree. Now, Mr. Swanson, how do you think this class is beneficial to your students?
Well, I think first and foremost, for kids that are going into this field or a field related to this, I think it's virtually essential. Whether that be like TV, film, any kind of communications, photography, marketing, or anything of that nature. However, every year kids that take this, there's like a couple that are gone into it, and a couple aren't. Like neither of you are necessarily going into this field. But I think what it does offer, regardless, is time management is a big one. I think it's also one of the very few things that exist within our school to give you guys like a taste of what college might actually be like. You know what I mean? Whereas traditionally it's very much you go to class, this is it, this is it, this is it. You know, the whole structure of this is you know, so it's kind of like set up that way where you have to manage your time, you have to manage your deadlines, you have to manage your workload. It's up to you basically what you do, when you do it, how you do it, just so long as you do it. And the hand-holding part, which kind of goes along with being a high school student, is dropped off in this independent study in particular. And I think that that's something, educationally speaking, is extremely beneficial to you kids, regardless of what you're going into.
I agree. No matter what we're going into, there's a lot of skills that can be learned through independent study itself.
I agree.
Like hosting, it's better communication skills.
Yes.
You get better skills with technology.
And also like better skills with planning. Like I know whenever I don't plan out my best of the nest ahead of time and it's like crunching it, it's not as good. But whenever I actually like put effort into it and I take my time, it's so much better.
There's definitely something for everyone in independent study and also any TV class. Like you could write scripts, you could write questions for Best of the Nest, you could host Best of the Nest, you could be a guest.
Well, I think just the TV program in general is one of those few programs that does offer something for everybody, at least a little bit. If you're more into the writing end, you have that, regardless of its independent study or intro or TV1 or whatever. You know, you can write the projects, you can write the scripts, you can write proposals, you can be the talent in front of the camera. If you're more of a techie person, you can do the editing, operate the cameras and stuff like that. There's an artistic angle to it as well with framing shots, lighting, and all of that. So, yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Even just at surface level, looking at the types of kids that join TV classes, you can really tell, like, even in our independent study, there's little groups in in everything.
It's an eclectic crew, and that's something. This is my 20th year in Armstrong School District, and it's interesting to me. Year after year, there's always like an eclectic group somewhere. You know what I mean? Like kids that I don't think otherwise would not. I don't know if interacts a word, you know what I mean? But they just kind of find each other and like find a common ground through it. Yeah.
All right, Larissa, what was your favorite project that you've worked on?
I would say definitely my Man-Eater music video. I made it for my independent project in the first 9 weeks, and it was just so much fun to do. It was fun to edit, and I love the Man-Eater song. I love Hall & Oates, so it was like fun to like, I don't know, take the song and like make a video of it. Like it was just fun.
Swanson, you don't have to lie to us. We know you have a favorite project, but what is it?
Well, I am a fan of the Man-Eater music video. I thought that was very, very cute and creative. In terms of what you guys do, I am very impressed by the 2 drug video entries that were done this year, both of them, which we're still waiting to hear back from, so hopefully we get something soon. Those definitely stand out to me. There have been some of the podcasts that have stood out to me as well. I think it is fascinating how sometimes you kids kind of throw together a podcast because you have a podcast to do, and sometimes it's like almost like lightning in a bottle, you know, depending on what you talk about and how you talk about it. I am personally a fan of anything that gives you as young people a platform and an opportunity to talk about things that you actually legitimately care about in a way that you actually sincerely want to talk about them. And that's something else that I think this whole setup kind of offers that you might not get in a traditional class, you know, whereas you're traditionally supposed to be like, I am student A and this is B and da-da-da-da, you know, like I think part of what we do here, or at least what we try to do here, is give you guys a voice and an opportunity to express that voice. So anytime that you kids do something where you actually take advantage of that opportunity and say something beyond just, oh, I got to do this project, is something that always impresses me.
And it's almost like the way the class or the independent study itself is set up that kind of pushes students to be more vocal about certain things. Like, not to scare anyone away from independent study, everyone should go for it if they have a chance to, but like podcasts throw students in a situation where they have to talk. They have to talk with people, and you can't be with the same person every single time, so that just, you have to talk. So, all right. Did you enjoy your time in independent study this year?
100%. I love everything about it. I love all of the projects that I would have never done or tried to do or cared to do if I wasn't in an independent study. Like Squawk Talk, those are awesome. I love, like, it's just fun to like get together, and I don't know, just even watching over them, it's fun. But also podcasts, I think podcasts are my favorite to do because I don't have to worry about like what I look like. It's just like actually just like focusing on the content and less of like, I don't know, like looking. So yeah, it was all so much fun.
Was it what you expected independent study to be?
Not really. I expected it to be more of hanging out. Everyone in the years prior of independent study, all that they would do was like sit on their phone from like my point of view. Like I would only see them like hanging out, talking, but it's a lot more work than I was expecting. We do a lot more helping out and doing like podcasts and stuff like that than I was planning on.
I was the opposite. I was expecting it to be like, I have to be working on something 24/7. So if that's a reason someone could be pushed away from independent study, don't worry about it. You'll have your downtime, but there's also time you have to put in the work.
You guys have your projects, you have your deadlines, and it's up to you how you structure to do that. And ultimately, it's up to you if you deliver or not. And you guys have always delivered. So.
And I know you're not all about boosting our egos or anything, but
no, not at all.
Do you think this was a good year for independent study?
This is probably the worst year I've ever had. You kids have been worthless. No, I'm joking.
I agree.
Well, to start, there's 13 of you, and there's typically 3 to 5. And I can't imagine turning down any one of you that expressed interest in it this year. So in that regard, I have never had a group of kids that were this into it at this number. If to throw back a little bit, I always have really solid kids in independent study. Every once in a while, I get what I consider a superstar. And Bretland Johns from a couple years ago was definitely one of those superstars. And easily, the majority of you that have taken independent study are in the same league as Bretland was. And I've said that to Mr. Comnos and Mr. Lorgan before at the beginning of the year when I talked about just the number of kids coming in, and just like I couldn't imagine saying no because I'm basically getting a crew of equivalent to some of the best that I've ever had. I think you guys have done a phenomenal job. I think one challenge this year was because there was so many of you, you know, the workload that's usually put on 3 to 5 was kind of spread out a little bit. But I think that also enabled a couple more things like the spotlight and some of like the extra stuff that just kind of happened, like Caden's AHS Mythbusters video and the Swanson Exposed video that we shall not mention again. Stuff like that, that just these extra little things have kind of come into it. So I mean, you guys have been reliable, you've been dependable, you've done excellent work. And it is interesting, like Larissa, you are very meticulous and planned out. You're on top of things. Whereas Makayla, let's be a little bit honest, you might put it off a little bit longer.
I get it done.
And then you get it done.
Yeah, and I get it done well.
But that's my point. You know what I mean? It really is. It's up to you guys how you choose to approach something. And all the different groups, there's like easily 4 different subgroups in the independent study, and not each group operates a little bit differently. And every group has always delivered. Like none of you have let me down or even come close to letting me down, which is something I appreciate more than I can put into words, and the quality of your work has always been good. And truthfully, you're amazing kids. Most of you I've known since your sophomore year, both of you. And yeah, you guys are in terms of the work you do, you're among the best I've ever had and the best I ever will. And you, on a more personal level, going back to what you said, like hang out with Mr. Swanson if I have to, it's going to be weird coming in here next year and not seeing you kids. It's going to be very weird.
I feel like the reason why we're so close is because we all took Media Lit and then Intro to TV and then TV Prod. Before, like, TV Prod was, you, like, had to take the intros before. I feel like we all, like, had, like, more knowledge going into TV Prod than most. And I don't know, I feel like we all just connected since the first year we had it.
Well, since you just said in about 50 million ways were your favorite of all time, are you looking forward to your independent study next year?
I am. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. And I think that's something about teaching in general. Every year there's a couple kids that you're going to miss terribly. And then every once in a blue moon you get a crop of kids that you're going to miss terribly. And you guys you're one of those years. And I can say fairly confidently that this is only the third or fourth time in my 20 years where I feel that way about a group of kids as opposed to, you know, a handful of individual kids. And that is hard and it's kind of sad. But another thing about teaching and by extension independent study is each year is a new start. You know what I mean? So it's always kind of exciting to see who you get, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, how it gels together and stuff like that.
I'm a little nervous for next year's independent study, to be honest, because there's only one person that I can imagine being in independent study. So the rest I'm like, I don't even know who the rest of the options are.
The standards are high.
Yeah.
I've spoken to a handful of kids in TV1, and there are two that I think will be standouts, and there's a couple that will be reliable. You know what I mean? Well, they'll take it seriously, they'll do what needs to be done, and they'll have a good time with it. But I think there's probably about 5 that I think if I can get them together would make a good solid crew for next year.
Can't top our 13.
Yeah.
That lucky 13. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
Larissa, what are you looking forward to next year?
Just moving out. I feel like I'm so sick of school.
Sick of us.
Yeah, honestly, no. No, that you guys are like my favorite part about school, just like hanging out. But I'm just so excited to have a fresh start. My walls in my bedroom are pink, so I'm excited to have white walls in college. I'm excited to, like, I don't know. I feel like my home is just my home, but college is just a fresh start. It's just going to be such a huge change, and I'm really, really, really looking forward to it.
All right, I'm pretty sure that's all the time we'll have today.
If I could add something, Makayla, if that's all right.
Or maybe.
Okay,
well, it depends on the question. It depends on the question.
I'm going off script. Makayla, what was your favorite part of independent study?
Bullying you every day.
Bullying me every day. Yeah.
Influencing him, showing him K-pop.
Introducing me to the wonderful world. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is interesting. I do get asked by a lot of people in my personal life, like, what's it like teaching and what are kids like today and da-da-da. And probably the most true answer I have is I go to school and I get bossed around by teenage girls all day. It's pretty much, it's pretty much what that answer is. But I would like to take the opportunity to say, in absolute sincerity, it's been one of the honors of my career getting to be your teacher, like all of you, truthfully. I've known the majority of you like sophomore year, and those that jumped in last year feel like I've known them as long as well. I have never had a group of kids that have been not only this good of students, but also this relatable on a personal level, this dependable on a personal level. I don't know if you guys even realize it or not, but there are days that it's hard to come in here, even for me. And you kids have never failed to give me a reason to enjoy being here. And I will truly, truly miss you.
Okay, well, it sounds like there's a job opening for a couple of teenage girls to boss him around next year if somebody wants to get on that, send in some applications. But thank you, Larissa and Mr. Swanson, for joining us today to get the Hawk's Eye view on the TV production independent study. Until next time, I'm Makayla Brewster of AHS-TV. Keep on soaring.